Hey everyone, today I'm going to be continuing a trend of doing something different by ranking the Ocean's films. By which I mean all 5 heist movies involving a character with the last name Ocean. So, the original, the remake, both of its sequels, and the spin-off. Now, considering the newest movie is going on 6 years old, I'm just going to put out a general spoiler alert. Starting off, number 5 is Ocean's 11, 1960. This movie has a fantastic cast. This was the Rat Pack of the time. I mean, you got Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and Cesar frickin' Romero, to name a few. And that cast is the best part of this movie, because these are all actors who have worked with each other a lot. They know each other. I'm pretty sure they were friends. And they all have fantastic chemistry.
You're a tough guy to catch up with, Josh.
Well, trash is where you find it. You gotta follow the fleet.
What happened to the ball playing? No hit?
No C, remember? You know, when I got out of the Army, the only club that was open was down south. No spot in the outfield. Now, can you imagine how I would have made out a one-eyed third baseman in Mobile?
I always level with you, didn't I, Josh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm stringing along with this operation, but I'm scared. I mean, it's no panic. It's just a little something gets me right up in here.
That's the only way to be. Makes you careful. Look, Vince, the brave ones don't come home. You stay scared.
Yeah, you were always one of those guys who didn't want any brave ones on patrol with you, weren't you?
That's simple enough. In my book, bravery rhymed with stupid, and it still does.
And to the point where they improvised a lot of their dialogue. The problem is that nothing else in the movie approaches that level. The writing is fine. The cinematography and editing are good, but not great. The music is pretty good. The humor mostly works, but there weren't many gut busters. But this is a good movie. But it should have been so much better. You have so much good stuff, like the little detail that none of these guys are criminals. None of them have a criminal record. They're just war buddies. So, of course, no one is going to suspect their involvement. At least at first. That makes sense. I like that. That's a good little detail and a good little bit of realism. I watched this movie and the original Italian Job within about a week of each other. Both for the first time. And both of these movies were somewhat restricted by the Hays Code, which was repealed about a year after the Italian Job came out. Both of these movies had their endings altered because at the time the Hays Code said something to the effect of no motion picture can depict criminals profiting from their crimes. Neither of the movies could have their criminal protagonists profit, ultimately, from their crimes. And between the two, the Italian Job handled it much better. If you haven't seen that movie, I won't spoil it here, because you should just go watch it. It ended that movie on one of the best lines in the entire movie. Ocean's 11 did a decent job of working around that. It's not that it was bad, but like, you could have gotten much more creative with it. But unfortunately, like I said, nothing else was good enough to back up the chemistry between the cast. If you're a fan of this particular Rat Pack, which I am, definitely give this one a watch. But if not, just stick to the new ones. Score is 3 out of 5. Number 4 is Ocean's 12. I appreciate this movie more than I enjoy it. Not by much, mind you. I enjoy it quite a bit, and I appreciate it a little bit more. But I appreciate this movie because it tried to be subversive. It tried to do something different. It tried to break away from the formula of the original and the remake. I can appreciate that. Unfortunately, what it does instead is not consistently successful. It hits more than it misses, but it still misses quite a bit. Part of that shows the downside of having things be realistic. Like, basically they have to pay back Terry Benedict all the money that they stole from him plus interest within like a couple weeks, which for what they need to do is not enough time. But so they're just doing the best they can in the hopes that they'll pay him back a decent amount and then they can buy an extension to get more money for him. More than once, they start a job only to ultimately never finish that job because they don't have the time and or resources to finish it. Now, it kind of works because it makes sense in the narrative. However, it ultimately makes all the time that you spent watching them work on those jobs not entirely worthwhile. It's kind of the same thing that the new D&D movie did, only the new D&D movie did it better. With that being said, I do like a lot of the stuff that we get here. Like Danny and Rusty trolling Linus with the guy they're meeting, talking in this basically indecipherable code.
So, the business?
The business. A doctor who specializes in skin diseases will dream he has fallen asleep in front of the television. Later, he will wake up in front of the television, but not remember his dream.
Would you agree?
And then when Linus tries to chime in, the dude gets offended and they're talking to him, you just call his niece a whore. Or a very cheap one, she's 9. That alone is pretty funny, but then the reveal that they were just fucking with him. That just makes it even funnier, honestly. And I'm pretty sure it's a direct result of a pretty meta line where Linus says, hey, I would like to have a more substantial role this time around, which is basically the metatextual version of Matt Damon having a bigger role in this movie, thanks to the success of The Bourne Identity. The cast is all good, if not great, although apparently most of the cast thought of this movie as just an excuse to take a vacation, and I think it was George Clooney said he found it amusing that Catherine Zeta-Jones thought they were making a movie and not just taking a vacation. So that's kind of funny, but ultimately the acting kind of feels like a small step down. It's all still good, it's just you can tell they weren't trying quite as hard. Probably the best part of the movie is the whole meta bit, with Tess, played by Julia Roberts, having to impersonate Julia Roberts. Now, from a purely logical perspective, it makes no sense, because if Tess looks like Julia Roberts, then Danny should look like George Clooney, and Rusty should look like Brad Pitt, and so on and so forth. But if you can ignore that and just overlook that, it's pretty fucking hilarious. Especially when Bruce Willis shows up playing himself. And like he and Julia Roberts know each other in real life. So he just starts picking their story apart one little thread at a time. Not because he knows who they are or he knows what they're trying to do. Just because like he can tell something is off.
Thanks.
Very huge.
Greg, you fired Marcy?
Huge fan.
You fired Marcy 2 weeks ago in Taos. You told me I should go with Marcy.
No.
I'm sorry.
Tell him what happened with Marcy,
I will.
Glenn.
There's a story?
Yeah, always a story with
No,
Marcy.
Marcy, that old...
Thanks, it's such a surprise.
You should sit down.
I'm with the studio. Marcy's still very much in the picture, sir. I just wanted to get you for a second. We're looking to come off this baby thing strong. You know, that little statue on the mantle starts smirking at you after a while. You know what I'm saying?
Not really, Glenn, no.
That whole bit is the best part of the movie. But unfortunately, as a cohesive whole, it just doesn't quite come together. At least not as well as it could have. My score is 3 out of 5. Number 3 is Ocean's 8. This movie is in a similar boat to the original Ocean's 11, where the cast is the best part of it. However, everything else isn't quite as far behind as it was in the original Ocean's 11. Basically, the main problem is that the heist storyline just feels a little too formulaic. It has some twists and turns here and there, but they're not really enough to make that much of a difference. With that being said, holy shit, what a cast. And yeah, I know Mindy Kaling has been talking out her ass recently, especially with Velma and that whole train wreck, but she is hilarious here. The entire cast is hilarious. I love Awkwafina. I don't think we've seen her full range yet. Like, she's shown some range. Not a ton, but there has been some range. But I do look forward to seeing more range from her in the future. Sandra Bullock and Cate Blanchett are both giving it 100%. There is no heterosexual explanation for Cate Blanchett's character, Lou. None whatsoever. Sarah Paulson is great. Helena Bonham Carter is delightful. And I love the little detail where, out of all the people involved in the heist, her character is the only one who can't convincingly lie because she has never had the need to. She is just a fashion designer. Good attention to detail. Rihanna was terrible in Battleship and less terrible in Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Here, she's actually perfectly fine. She's not great. There's no Oscar snubbing happening, but she was perfectly fine.
Hey, boo. Oh, Paul. You poor thing.
I guess I'm in the minority where I don't hate James Corden. I think he was terrible in Cats, but that was more just the talent that he does have was not enough to elevate that shitty script. Here, much like Rihanna, James Corden, he's perfectly fine. He's not great, but he's not bad. He's just fine. And Sarah Paulson, oh my god. Out of all the actors, out of all of the main actors, all of the main cast, she is the actress I least expected to show up in a heist movie, especially in the kind of role that she's playing here, where basically it's all but stated that she is a fence, which honestly is just so different from most other roles I've seen her in, and yet she plays it so well. However, the standout here is Anne fucking Hathaway. For many reasons, just the layers and the depth that she gives to Daphne Kluger, she is just she is the best individual performance of the whole movie. I think Sandra Bullock and Cate Blanchett are collectively the best part of the movie, but that's just because of their chemistry with each other, not because of either of their individual performances. Anne Hathaway gives the best individual performance in this movie. There are a few bits here and there that don't really make sense, so they're trying to steal this valuable necklace. So during the heist, when Amita gets her hands on it, her next step, she gets it, she needs to go into the bathroom, lock herself in there, and basically pull it apart. Pull each diamond off of the necklace. Or each diamond or jewel or whatever off of the necklace so that each one can be handed out individually. The problem is that she blurts out, "Bathroom break! I'm gonna use the bathroom." She does that before she actually pockets the necklace, which is just stupid. It always irks me. I can overlook it because the rest of the writing isn't that stupid. But it's just like that one moment is just, why? Why would you do it that way? Now, I don't know if it was the writing, or I don't know if she just improvised it that way, and they kept it for some reason, but either way, it's stupid. But overall, this movie is solid. It's well shot. Gary Ross does a very good job of making the movie feel similar to Steven Soderbergh's trilogy while not feeling identical. Like, it has a similar aesthetic, but it's not the same aesthetic, and I think it works very well. My score is 3.5 out of 5. Number 2 is Ocean's 13. After Ocean's 12 was not the critical darling that the first movie was, this one went back to formula. But it did a better job of adding twists and turns to the formula than Ocean's 8 did. The cast is at the top of their game, like all of the protagonist actors. They all give their best performances of the trilogy.
I mean, it's not just about the kids. I mean, I'm happy for the kids.
So I think we've come up with the answer to your prayers. This is what I think we're going to do. We are buying you a house.
How's it going in Mexico?
The Turks there. Are they really going to build her a new home?
Yeah, for the whole family.
And Al Pacino is just, he's hamming it up, but it works perfectly. Basically, his character is akin to Donald Trump during his time on The Apprentice. More about him in a bit. Andy Garcia makes a shift from, like, neutral evil to more lawful evil, I guess. And the result gives us some of the best comedy in the movie. So his character, Terry Benedict, has forged, like, a temporary alliance with the Ocean's crew to take down Pacino's character, Willie Bank. He's getting fitted for this suit, and Danny's with him, and he's like,
Think he's gonna fall for this?
You did. You ready?
I was born ready.
that's probably my favorite thing about this movie, is just comparing Terry Benedict to Willie Bank. Terry Benedict is like faux affably evil. Willie Bank isn't even that. He's just a jackass. They pull shit on Bank that they never could have pulled on Benedict. He threatens to send people to kill Danny and his crew, and Danny's just like, yeah, I know the guys you would send after me. They like me more than they like you. They never could have pulled that shit on Benedict, because Benedict was at least nice to people. Not because he was a nice person, mind you. It was basically a combination of perfectionism and pragmatism.
This is your end, which you donated to charity.
Charity?
Camp to Belong. The kids are very grateful. They're going to have you up to visit next month.
Now, you know that wasn't our deal.
Well, if you feel that strongly about it, then we'll yank the kids out of the camp and we'll send them back to their foster homes. All 200 of them.
You think this is funny?
Well, Terry, it sure as shit ain't sad.
Why these children?
Well, I was just very moved by what the kind of work they're doing there, and you got to start somewhere. And luckily, you know, the casino business is doing well, and I hope there's more millions to come that we can spread around to other organizations. But like I said, I was very moved by that place, and you know, all you got to do is look at inside a child's eyes, and that's all it needs. That's all the motivation that one needs.
So because of that, they never could have pulled that shit on him. Willie Bank isn't even that. The shit they pull in these movies is always just a tiny bit implausible, but it all feels plausible enough that it doesn't take you out of the movie. Like the whole, like the incorporation of the earthquake and all the various things, and just and targeting the one critic, and just it all comes together and it all works. My score is 4 out of 5. Finally, my number 1 is Ocean's 11. 2001. This movie is slick, stylish, and fun. It is one of the best heist films ever made. There's one minor plot hole, which is how the hell did they get that many hooker pamphlets into the van when it explodes? Because those bags were taken directly from the vault, which means that the Ocean's crew would have had to put those pamphlets into the bags while they were in the vault. So how the hell did they get that many hooker pamphlets into the vault in the first place? Oops. And I mean, hell, the creators have even acknowledged, yeah, that doesn't make sense, but roll with it. Fortunately, that's pretty much the only plot hole. And really, it's my only problem with this movie. Everything else is good, if not great. The acting is solid across the board. The writing is great. It does a good job of sticking to the basic heist movie formula, but doing enough things differently that it keeps you guessing. This is a remake that significantly improves on the original. The story itself is nice and simple, which allows them to focus more on the characters in the heist. And as much as I love the cast of the original Ocean's 11, the characters were never completely fleshed out. It often felt like it was just the actors and not them playing a character. Here, everyone disappears into their roles. Don Cheadle's attempt at what I think is supposed to be a Cockney accent is terrible. However, a couple of things. One, I'm willing to bet that there is someone out there in the real world whose accent actually sounds like that. And two, if nothing else, it makes the character more memorable. I mean, from a personality standpoint, he's already pretty memorable, but the accent just makes it more so. So yeah, just a roundabout way of saying the cast here does a better job of disappearing into their characters than the cast of the original did. My score is 4.5 out of 5. Hey everyone, what's your ranking? Let me know down in the comments. Like and subscribe and all that. If you don't like the video, tell me why, then subscribe anyway. You'll be notified when I upload a new video. Watch that one and tell me why that one sucks. I have a Patreon, and there's some exclusive content up there. There's 2 tiers. First tier is just access to the exclusive content. The second tier is you can commission tribute videos. So if that interests you, link is in the description. Now, I don't know if I will have a video out next week. My schedule is going to be a little bit wonky, but I will try to have a video out next week, but no promises. If I can't get one out next week, there will be one the week after. That's all for now. Stay safe in these crazy times.